Time for the Week 8 edition of Shorts and Shells, where we get Eric Edholm's observations on everything that happened on Sunday. And Eric, it looks like you're Mr. Negativity today, looking at some of these teams that lost some games, coaches on the hot seat certainly. Let's start with the Falcons' 30-17 win over the Philadelphia Eagles, the first game for new defensive coordinator Todd Bowles. No Juan Castillo. A lot of questions about whether or not that was the right move from the get-go, and the Eagles' defense didn't look any better.
Did my mom call you before this video? She always says, you know, look at the bright side. Well, in this case, it's really hard, too, for the Eagles. Andy Reid completely dejected after the game. You know, he made this switch. It's a very tough switch. I mean, he fired his good friend in Juan Castillo, promoted Todd Bowles to the position of defensive coordinator, and the results were exactly the same. In fact, they were worse. This was the worst defensive effort by the team in terms of tackling. It's the same problems they've had before, just to a greater degree. And, you know, Reid admitted that, you know, the change probably had an effect on the outcome. But offensively, Vick and company couldn't get anything done, and just couldn't stop Matt Ryan and the Falcons all day.
You look at the weapons on both sides of the ball in Philadelphia, and it's just it's head-scratching how they can't put it all together and get some wins this season. Heading to the AFC East, the Dolphins put up 30 points in the Jets, winning 30-9. Special teams gaps for the Jets. The offense didn't do anything. Calls for Tebow from the stands. They were booing the offense. You know, the Jets actually looked all right the last 3 weeks, even though they went 1-2 in those games. Looked terrible against their division rival on Sunday.
You know, and the whole operative theme here, and we'll talk about it in the third game as well, is change. You know, sometimes change doesn't help you. You know, you can make switches, but at this point, you'd have to think that, you know, the Jets are willing to try something. And yet after the game, he says, Mark Sanchez is my quarterback. This is what Rex Ryan wants to do. He still believes he can win with this group. It's interesting. Like you said, they had played well. Sunday was not their best day. Do you chalk it up? It's just one of those games where everything kind of went awry and the Dolphins won that game? Or do you say, look, this team has serious flaws and the Jets have to make some serious switches here? Because as we saw with the Eagles, that big change didn't have a positive effect.
Yeah, you look at Miami on the other side, they did it with Matt Moore at quarterback.
True.
You lose their starting quarterback, and there wasn't seen to be a problem for the Dolphins. Then you look at the San Diego Chargers, the worst collapse of the season on Monday night. Then they get a bye week to think about it. They travel to Cleveland to play the one-win Browns. They lose 7-6, a pretty terrible game for the Chargers coming off all of that, and Norv Turner was already on the hot seat after Monday night.
Yeah, fire Norv Turner was trending on Twitter. It was the theme of the day, at least amongst Chargers fans. And how they lost this game with all the opportunities they had is beyond me. I mean, the Ryan Matthews fumble kind of set a tone early in the game. That was an opportunity that they lost right there, and they just weren't able to capitalize. I mean, credit a revved-up Browns group. They've now won 2 or 3 games, new ownership. There's some excitement. The Richardson touchdown was an early hallmark for them, but this is a week I think we'll go down. We'll look back. Eagles, Jets, Chargers, a pivotal flashpoint week for those 3 franchises. Could Andy Reid and Michael Vick be done in Philly? Could Mark Sanchez be benched at some point? Could Rex Ryan be done? And obviously, could Norv Turner be gone as head coach as well? I think we'll look back at this week as a pivotal change in all 3 franchises' histories.
Well, when you look at those 3 teams, and we talk about this with the Eagles, all 3 of those teams have plenty of talented players on both sides of the football and not playing to their potential. And a lot of times when that happens, you look at the head coaches and you look for changes. To see the rest of Eric's observations and maybe some positive observations from Week 8, be sure to check out his Shorts and Shells column at our website, profootballweekly.com.